A question, a broad question. Maharishi first talked about Brahman. It was the knower is Brahman. That Brahman is that click of the intellect to realize that everything that you see is just fluctuations of wholeness. And then later he spoke about more as you're using the term Brahman as something which is and exists. Can you comment on that?
What was the last two words?
That exists, that is.
There's two ways that Marcia uses the word Brahman. That's important to keep clear. One way is synonymous pretty much with being. Being, as Marcia describes it in uh, uh, Science of Being, is Brahman. And Marcia, if you read especially the first chapter of Science of Being, he describes Nirguna Brahm, Saguna Brahm. He doesn't use the terminology, but he describes it. It's all the state of being. That's one thing. And then there's Brahman consciousness, which is a different thing. Brahman consciousness requires a human nervous system. And Marci made it very clear, when we transcend, we experience that state and we can call that Brahman, but we're not experiencing Brahman consciousness. Brahman consciousness requires a nervous system. And Brahman consciousness occurs when the infinite wholeness within is, and then one experiences the infinite wholeness without. And then that's unity consciousness. And then when those two values of being uh, become a greater wholeness, a much greater, grander wholeness, then that's Brahman consciousness. I think I forgot your question, so I'm not sure if I'm answering it at all.
You are. Thank you.
Oh, I did answer. Yeah,
Yeah.
okay, okay. Maharshi once said, he once said something very interesting. He was talking about the Brahma Sutras, and he said the Brahma Sutras you start studying when you're in God consciousness, and they are the experiences that go from God consciousness to Brahman consciousness, and you study the experiences and you study it with your enlightened master, and you go through them, and in this way you unfold all the different values of wholeness, and then those values of wholeness start combining into greater wholenesses, and then those combine into greater wholeness, greater and greater and greater wholenesses. And he said, if we didn't have the Brahma Sutras, if Vyasa had never recorded the Brahma Sutras, then the highest we could get would be infinite pieces of wholeness. And he said, that would be great. That would be wonderful. That's unity consciousness, but would never have that huge, enormous, great wholeness, which is much, much more than unity consciousness, which is great and grand and so forth. I'm sorry, go ahead.